sunlit world of what he believes to be reality. But there is, unseen by most, an underworld, a place that is just as real, but not as brightly lit. A dark side.
Hey, what's up, and welcome back to Talks from the Dark Side. I'm Joel Escola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Connor McGraw. Oh my God, I'm here.
And I'm Chris Bahr.
And today we're talking about Episode 8, The Word Processor of the Gods.
Sorry.
Directed by Michael Gornick, written by Stephen King originally, that novel, or that novella, and adapted by Michael McDowell for the screen, with an original air date of November 25th, 1984.
So here's the official synopsis for the episode from Fangoria. Richard Hagstrom, an unhappily married writer, receives a souped-up homemade word processor with execute and delete commands that can alter the composition of reality. Seizing a golden opportunity to improve his home life, Richard erases his unpleasant elements and replaces them with more agreeable surroundings.
That's the most sterile fucking, description I've ever heard.
That is really softballing what the fuck he does to lots of shit.
He replaces disagreeable with agreeable. Bye.
Yeah, disagreement with agreeable.
Someone wrote that in a rush.
I disagree with my son's existence.
I think Bruce Davison's character, by the way, could be potentially two characters in the MDU, depending on the timeline, or maybe the same person.
I was going to go with he is the Hagstrom.
Well, that's the thing. It could be he is the Hagstrom. Maybe, you know what, maybe his boy at the end, maybe he's the one that we see in Titanic too.
I don't know, man. He can't, look, Hagstrom is Hagstrom. You know, he made those fucking puppets. And then he blew his brains out when the Nazis found him. But then he used his fucking, the Toulon's magic juice to bring himself back. And then he, he hooked up with the guys, the protectors of Fenrir, and that sword and shit.
Yeah, you're kind of crazy.
The preventers of Ragnarok.
Hagstrom.
Okay, so maybe this is just Bruce Davison from Titanic 2, when...
Oh, straight up.
When it ends, maybe he's got a different last name. We don't know if he's Hagstrom still.
Bruce Davison from Titanic 2 is completely canonically this character. He uses this thing, he gets what he wants, and then he becomes rich and powerful, and then he becomes like a secret agent or some shit.
Right.
But he's wholly unsatisfied because everything he got, he didn't fucking earn, which is why he's so sedate in Titanic 2.
Yes, which is why he sacrifices his life for the machinations of John Hurt, yes.
Yeah, just fucking end it now.
Now, speaking of Bruce Davison, so I'd say up until maybe an hour ago,
yeah,
when I went to rewatch this episode, I, for the longest time, thought this was Harry Anderson.
Oh,
I
my
thought
God.
it was Night Court Guy. I kept calling him Night Court Guy.
Me too, Chris.
Forever, I thought it was Harry Anderson. And then I'm going to search. I'm like, wait, who's this guy then? So I went to search, just looking up Harry Anderson. I typed in Harry Dean Anderson.
Oh, dude, imagine that if it was him in this. He's walking around with a cigarette hanging off of his fucking lip the entire time.
Yeah, pulled up Richard Dean Anderson. I'm like, what is MacGyver doing here? What is going on in this one?
MacGyver might have gotten some more wishes out of it. He could have kept this thing running a lot longer.
MacGyver would have rigged this thing to give him literally anything he wanted with more buttons. Chris, I'll do you one better. I didn't find out it was Bruce Davison until about 2 minutes ago because I walked into this episode thinking it was Harry Anderson.
Oh, that's even better.
But what's even funnier is in a couple episodes we're gonna fucking get Harry Anderson in Tales from the Dark Side.
It's again full circle here.
It's all connected, baby. You can't get away from it.
When I heard his name, I was like, "Oh, this is a canonical MDU prequel." Is what this is.
Yeah, and as I'm watching the episode, after I found out it's not who I thought it was, it's okay, it's Bruce Davison. I'm trying to get that in my head. I'm watching the episode. I'm like, wait, no, this is Harry Anderson. And even now, I'm still convinced it's the Night Court guy.
Did you type it in on the computer that your or the word processor your nephew gave you, and you were like,
yeah,
Harry Anderson is in this episode right now
from the grave.
Execute.
Do you type it as shitty as you can first, and then just go along and sterilize it for some reason, and just make it a more pleasant sentence?
So this was based on a Stephen King story?
Yeah.
I thought I recognized the title of it too. I was like, I know this story, but I don't think I know the story.
Yeah, this is another one after, following up after Inside the Closet, which is, we kind of said was one of the more iconic Tales from the Darkside episodes.
Sure.
This is another one that was promoted heavily on the tapes. Yeah, and it's like they really led with the Stephen King part.
This is actually on. Not only is it on a Tales from the Darkside tape, but there was another tape release called Stephen King's Golden Stories or some shit like that, and they would take all the episodes from Tales from the Darkside that Stephen King wrote, or that was branded with Stephen King, and put it on that tape too, and sold it that way.
Hey, it's a good idea. It's a good marketing ploy.
That's a real smart double dip.
No, sure, but like just to Chris's point, like it has Stephen King's name emblazoned on it, so of course people are going to be like, "This is the one to watch." You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the one on the tape. It's like, oh, Stephen King, I know that name.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll rent this series.
It's so weird now to compare that to like a modern day horror show, because you don't get like an episode that is headlined by a writer or a creator. You get a show or a whole fucking season that's like Jordan Peele presents Twilight Zone. Like,
Right.
I don't know. There's no. I don't think you can find a singular episode from something that's running now where it's like, this one was written by fucking Jason Blum or whatever. I don't know what the fuck. He's not a writer or anything.
Right. No, it makes sense because we're in an age where there are no like, maybe masters is the wrong word to say, but like people that really stand out and break the mold. I guess, is that what I want to say? Like,
well, I think the problem is that, like, okay, let's look at what the fuck is his name that directed Monsters in Rogue One?
Gareth Edwards.
oh, Gareth Edwards.
Gareth
yeah.
Edwards. Gareth Edwards makes a movie that gets, some critical buzz, and then they're like, all right, well, here's a Star Wars. There's no escalation. There's no build. You're not witnessing like
The growth.
the rise of someone who or any development. They're just like, yeah, here's $1 billion. Make a Star Wars.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with King, but that's the thing with King too. Like, he's a household name, but it's all very pulpy and very crass.
And also keep in mind at this point, this one is late November 1984.
Yeah,
He was like in his prime here.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was he cocaine and cough medicine?
Was he slinging cough medicine and getting fucking blitzed?
Well, I was gonna say too, just to that point, weirdly enough, you think he pulled from his own life on this one at all?
Oh, yeah. Well, he does that every time, dude.
God, I hope not.
Yeah, so he's coasting on coke at this point.
Didn't he say he doesn't even remember writing Christine? That's how fucked up he was half the time.
Yeah, that's crazy. What year did Christine come out?
And that was 84, I want to say.
84? Oh, so it came out the same year as this fucking series.
And even with Maximum Overdrive, he says he doesn't remember directing that.
Can you believe that shit?
We gotta do that on the main show at some point, please.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 110%, dude.
I've never seen it, so there you go.
And this is a fun thing to pull up. Just type in Stephen King Maximum Overdrive. Look for like set photos, and look in his eyes. And tell me he isn't coked out of his fucking mind.
Right, because he has a bit part in the beginning, right?
Yeah, he has a bit part in most of his stories.
In a lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, which is that's fun.
I love his cameo in It Chapter 2, where he's just like, yeah, he's good, but he sucks at the endings. And he's like, have a good day.
Oh yeah.
That's another Stephen King self nod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like this story.
The word processor of the gods. Kind of kicks off. We meet Bruce Davison and his family, and he's kind of like this.
Harry Anderson.
His son of a bitch.
Bruce the Doormat Davidson? Yeah.
Excuse me, he is Mr. Nightcourt, okay?
Yeah, well, regardless, yeah, exactly, Joe. He is a fucking doormat because he's got this domineering wife that's pushing him around, and his son who's constantly playing the guitar all the way racked up to 11.
Oh, yeah, those definitely go to 11. Real quick, Karen Shallow as Lena Hagstrom here. She is going to pop up in the Monster series because she is in One Wolf's Family with Jerry Stiller and his wife, Ann Mira.
Ooh.
Plays the nosy neighbor.
She's great in this.
Yeah, and then speaking of Jerry Stiller, she's in 2 other episodes in this series. Just her voice, but That still counts.
No, it totally counts. And the Jerry Stiller episode is fucking great, dude. Devil's Advocate, can't wait.
That's another iconic one.
We've had a few nagging wives in this show so far, but this woman, she's been probably the best one so far. She really like sticks it to this guy.
She fucking takes the taco, man. She's a fucking asshole. I want to smack this bitch in the face.
But he's also got that whole thing where it's like he regrets marrying her and not her sister.
No, it's not her sister. It's his brother's wife that he wanted to marry.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah, here's the thing about this. Like, so between him, his wife, and his kid, I was like, I don't care for any of you fuckers at this point. You're all fucking equally shitty.
Oh, yeah. There's like trash all over the fucking house and like
Yeah, that's the best part of the setup. It's like credits are still rolling and the camera's just panning across the sink and there's garbage everywhere, like food sitting out. There's a watermelon in the sink.
yeah. Well, it's directed. Well, real quick. I mean, we did say.
Oh yeah, we skimmed this over.
Yeah, it's Michael Gornick, dude. He fucking did Slippage, and of course, he directed Creepshow 2. If you go back and listen to that Slippage episode,
Right. Another episode that is shot really well. The lighting, especially in this one, is like really put to use effectively.
again, man, we're hitting that stride, baby.
This episode takes place primarily in like one room, and they do a whole fucking lot with that one room.
Yeah, it's like just like the last one. It's like two real areas. You're right, Connor, because it's like in the last one it was the mansion like hallway and the room, and this one is like this kitchen area and this garage that he hangs out in, or attic, or wherever he has this thing.
His basement, his study, quote unquote.
Yeah, and like because this I didn't watch the show growing up. This is kind of like my first real tour through it, I guess. Like, I am pretty impressed with how much they can do with so little. And it's just kind of making me think of like, shows like Monsters and stuff like that, where I'm just thinking about how many times I've seen shows like this where I didn't really appreciate how much they were doing with so fucking little to use.
Yeah, and especially in the time limit. Like that's what the beauty is about this.
20-minute episode, like what is it, like 25 minutes long?
Yeah,
yeah,
and they fit so much into it. Especially this one. This one's rich. I feel like with
this one's okay. So like. My original intro was going to be, I'm Connor McGraw, and what the fuck? Because I think, for me personally, I think this episode is like, where it lacks in like, going anywhere or showing off anything really too flashy or like any monster effects or, something like that, typical horror stables. I think it makes up with like existential what the fuckery to the point where like, by the end of it, I'm like shocked. I'm like, this guy cannot be doing this. I'm like, oh God, he did it again.
And real quick, since we're talking about, stretching the budget, Joe, one thing I want to point out here is with the sets in mind, I think like, and this is just a weird connection that might come up, later on when we get to like monsters way down the road.
yeah.
But I'm convinced that the basement set here in this episode is the same set in the Mr. Slobber.
Mr. Slobber,
right?
It might, maybe.
Right? I know it's a stretch, but then it's like I wouldn't put it past him to reuse a set like this.
Well, so a fun little aside, being a fan of all the CW shows, sometimes I see the same staircase 6 times a week because it's all filmed in the same city in Canada.
The only thing I would say as why it wouldn't be, because I feel like these sets were made and immediately taken down like as soon as they were done.
That too. That's kind of the question. It's like they wouldn't have stored these in a warehouse for.
All right,
4
Harry,
years.
Get off the set. I'm Bruce. Whatever.
Whatever you say. Yeah, whatever, Titanic 2 guy. Get out of here.
Whatever you say there, whatever you say, Harry.
Go back to Night Court.
How's Mr. Mole?
Are you supposed to be shooting it somewhere with fucking Tommy Lee Wallace? Get out of here.
No, that's John Ritter. So in this episode, John Ritter, he lives.
Don't do that. You will mind fuck me to death. Okay, I will walk out of this episode like, yeah, it was John Ritter, and he had a fucking word processor, and his son was Harry Anderson.
Like probably he is a problem child in this episode. It's all connected.
So Bruce Davison comes home, and his brother has just killed his family because he was a drunk. So he ran himself and his nephew and his sister-in-law off a fucking cliff and killed them.
Dark ass shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is Bruce Davison secretly was in love with his brother's wife all these years and
Right.
thought that his nephew was a better son than his actual son.
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at here. It's like it's the context of this guy loathing his own existence so much and coveting like his own brother's family and then being angry that they're all dead. Like I'm like ugh, like ugh. Slime just like exudes off this guy.
Yeah. Now here's where we're gonna have like a good discussion because like I take it as less of him being in love with his sister-in-law and more of him just wanting that kind of relationship that his brother had with his family.
Right.
Like, his brother was an asshole. He's sort of the opposite, and he's like a nicer guy, but his family sucks.
Yeah, and like it's like the drunk should be with this woman that he's with, and like he just wants to be, I don't know, respected, loved, enjoy his family.
Yeah, it's like they were good people. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I, read it personally.
Sure.
It's like him liking the idea of like a good son and like a friendly wife.
Now but Bruce Davison never, I mean, he never says anything terrible about these people. He gets pissed off at them, but he's like, oh, you're my son and I love you or whatever. Like, you're my wife and I love you, whatever. But like, can you just like stop? He just lays the fuck down while he gets pummeled by both of them.
Yeah. But his nephew had left him this like self-made word processor, like made out of wood and shit.
This Job ass looking fucking lawnmower man motherfucking word processor.
It's real good. I could fix anything. I could fix it. I tell you what, they call me the word processor man, and I fixed it.
I think Job teamed up with fucking Pookie to make this thing.
You think Mookie's in that fucking thing?
He might be.
I'm just picturing like what was the nephew's name? I can't remember his name. It was whatever. I'm just seeing
Jonathan.
his hands.
Jonathan,
There we
yeah.
go. He's just like you just see his hands reaching through a window and just stealing it out of Job's fucking like his shack, like while he's reading a comic book or something.
Help me.
You get him, Cybo man, just lifting it.
Yeah, then he uploads Mookie in there.
Yeah, Mookie's on the fucking drive on the disc. The network. I'm in the network.
I'm gonna make all the phones ring.
Yeah. That'll be our battle cry. Job told me to say that.
Me and Job are teaming up.
And you can intercut like Johnny Mnemonic typing.
He's really good at Scrabble and like, I don't know, want world domination? ? So Bruce brings this fucking thing inside and
It's in like 12 boxes.
yeah, and his brother's neighbor Tom is helping him unload it, and he's like, oh yeah, I love that boy. I love Belinda and I love that boy Jonathan. They were good people. Your brother's a piece of shit though, but
They were such perfect human beings. My God, your family's such a wretched sack of shit. My Jesus Christ, my God.
Yeah, he's Mr. Exhibition right
Wait, I'm sorry, Chris, is he Mr. Exposition or Mr. Exhibition? Because those are two totally
now.
different.
I know. As soon as I said it, I fucked up.
I'm a stripper by night, fellas. Here we go.
Oh my God.
So he takes this fucking thing into the basement. He's basically like, John was a smart boy. He fucking, the ground is sour. But he built this thing for you. It's a word processor. And he's like, John always told me that he was going to make me one of these or whatever. And he plugs it in. And he's like, what do you think? You think it's going to work, Tom? And he's like, I don't know, but I saw a kid scrape the cellophane off the back of a deck of playing cards to make a pipe bomb. So, kids are crazy like that,
What is this accent? What's this, W.C. Fields? I don't know what you're doing here.
That's what he kind of sounds like.
I'm gonna go now. I gotta go watch a fucking dog and pony show and maybe participate.
I need a cigar and I need a soak. A stat.
Get me a Meisterbrow, would ya?
Yeah, so Harry Anderson finishes putting the computer together.
And it looks like the fucking keys. I mean, I know they're not actually Lego pieces, but every time they showed them, I thought they were fucking Lego pieces. They're like bright colors.
Every time they did like a close-up shot of this thing, I could smell electrical burning. Like, it's just, it's the jankiest looking thing I've ever seen.
I want to make a fucking replica of this fucking thing, dude.
It's terrifying looking. I wouldn't touch that thing at all.
Yeah, just get cardboard and some wires, and that's 90% of it.
Yeah, I would, like, plugging that in would activate my fight or flight experience, like response. I don't even know what I would do with it.
I gotta say, thank God that Bruce Davison figured out what the trick was early. Like, you know, we'll talk about it in a second, but I just imagine, what if he wrote like some really like horrific like war book, like aliens attack the Earth and destroy everything, and he hits execute,
And then he just went to go print it out. Yeah.
yeah, and then the world's fucking over because of your stupid book, Bruce.
He presses execute and the fucking Martians from Mars Attacks just kick his door in.
Exactly.
So yeah, Bruce Davison. There's like a really like kind of heartbreaking scene because he puts the disc in, and it says "Happy Birthday, Uncle Richard," and he's like, "Oh shit, it is my birthday today." And it just so happens that it was delivered on his birthday.
He even says to his wife later, he mentions it, and she's like, "Yeah, so you want a cookie?"
And she's like, "Oh yeah, why don't you wish for some fucking money, you lowlife?" So he has like this vision, like a flashback almost of him with Jonathan in the basement, and he's like, "Yeah, I really want a word processor because I can, increase my output or whatever because I just have this shitty typewriter." And he's like, and Jonathan's like, "Yeah, well, that the shake on that fucking typewriter, can register a 3.5 on the Richter scale. I'm gonna build you one of those word processors, but I don't have much time. Bye."
Yeah, in a very like cryptic way of saying like, my dad's gonna drive me off a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He comes back and shakes some chains at him.
Oh man, he's all fucking he's all soaked. He's like Ted Danson in Creepshow, dude. He's fucking full of seaweed.
He walks right back into the room and just starts shaking chains ominously.
Oh, yeah.
and Harry Anderson's like, "What the fuck?"
Found these in the garage, Uncle
Yeah.
Richard.
Wait, now here's an idea. What if Jonathan wrote in the computer that his dad drives off a cliff?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Ends it all.
This is the first supernatural implication you get. I mean, we're going to get into some supernatural shit, but it's also like supernatural technology stuff, which I'm a big fan of.
Computers,
Magic and computers. That fucking guy from Mookie and Pookie was full of shit, dude.
Evil speak, if you will.
You know whose computer this actually is? It's Richard Mole's from the Dungeon Master. Okay, it's
Yes.
one of
Yeah.
Precisely.
And he's like, "Hello, Harry Anderson."
Or evil speak. Take your pick.
Yeah. Fucking Clint Howard's down there like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get the devil in here. We're gonna do some cool stuff.
I'm gonna float around. I'm gonna have a fucking claymore. I'm gonna cut off people's heads. It's gonna be great.
I'm gonna get revenge on those bullies."
That's some wild ass shit there. He just types execute and Clint Howard bursts out of the top of this thing with a fucking sword in his hand.
Esteban.
Cuts his head off.
So anyway,
Wait, yeah, where were we?
The fucking MDU is collapsing in this fucking episode.
we were like trying to outrun the fucking ball in Indiana Jones. So, so he's sitting at his computer, or his word processor rather, and he's just, his fucking son's upstairs playing guitar, and it's like super annoying. He's like, "God damn it, Seth, you're a fucking loser, or whatever. Shut up."
Oh, and the funny thing about the son, real quick, is like every time he goes to talk to his son, I swear he has like one line in the entire show. Later. He's like yelling at his son. Pick up the phone. Later.
Can you answer the door? Later.
He gives me strong. I guess like we see far less of him, but like, God, what the fuck was the annoying kid's name from Home Sweet Home? The one that like they named horribly as it's some kind of mean joke.
Oh, Mistake?
Mistake.
Yes, Mistake. Yeah, he gives me strong Mistake vibes.
He's a large mistake. You know what I'm saying?
He's a much bigger one. Yeah.
What if there were a way to fix the mistake?
Oh, there just might be, Chris. Because he's like fucking around on this word processor. He's trying to get like, do a little free writing. And he's not liking anything he's writing. He keeps deleting it. Then just, I guess out of pure whatever, he types, "The picture of my wife on the shelf disappears."
Yeah, he looks at the picture of his wife hanging on the wall and kind of like scowl a little bit just at the sight of her. The photo of my wife is upstairs in a different room.
Yeah, and then he hits execute and
It disappears.
Yeah, gone. Poof. No more wife.
I made the portrait of my wife disappear.
But then I'm going to make it reappear because I need to make sure that this is the computer doing the thing.
And I'm having some kind of psychotic episode.
which he does.
Yeah, and then he sees the picture of her not there anymore. So he's like, "Huh. All right."
I'll wish for some gold.
It's not even a wish.
I mean, okay, he doesn't just ask for gold. He gets hyper specific. He's like, I find a sack of doubloons, Spanish doubloons on my floor.
12 doubloons.
He straight up asks for what a medieval supervillain would hand to a henchman. Here's 12 doubloons. Meow.
And only 12 doubloons.
I turn to my fiance while I'm watching this, and I say, this guy's an asshole. Just ask for like $60 billion and just have it appear.
Doesn't he weigh it too? He's like, oh my god, 12 real doubloons. I better go weigh them.
He wanted to see if it worked, right? But it's one of those things where
Sure.
we're all writers here. We've all sat down to write. When the fuck have you ever sat down to write and you're like, man, my picture of my wife is on the thing or whatever? Like, why would he type that in?
I think it just starts with him just like wishful thinking. It's like him kicking back, trying to think of some ideas. And he's like, oh, this ugly woman I can't look at her anymore.
I hate my wife.
This hideous beast.
I would like a basket of 72 francs.
But because he's like some vanilla-ass guy, he doesn't just write, I wish my wife would disappear. He's like, her picture, though. You know, if anything happened to that, who cares?
It also has to ramp up. You can't just start, dishing shit out right off the fucking bat. If he was like, yeah, I wish my house was gone, or I wish I didn't have the stupid life, execute.
Yeah, it's just him messing around his computer, trying to, just kick some ideas around.
Yeah, but to me, this is the start of the heel turn. This is the moment where he gets the taste, and then he goes from 0 to 1,000 in a day.
Why not? Fuck it. He so he makes his wife's picture disappear and reappear, and then like Sean said, he wishes. Jesus Christ, you got me saying wishes. He types it in and says, There's a sack of doubloons on the ground. There's 12 of them in there. Spanish ones. Execute.
It's a fucking genie. Come on, it might as well be. It's a good spin on it, though.
The nature of this show is like it's cost cutting. And so, like, the reason I think it's doubloons is because someone's like, yo, I have this pouch of gold-looking bullshit. Well, can we use it in the show or something?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's from the other set or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like it feels like something that was left around. Someone going, we could probably use this at some point. Like,
so he grabs this shit and he figures out it's like worth $24,000.
That's what I'm saying. Go big or go home, man.
Yeah. And he's like, holy shit. And this is $24,000 in 1984. And we all know from the slippage episode that $25,000 a year is good money for a graphic designer. So imagine making that like in a day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, shit, if I had $24,000 right now, I'd be happy. But anyway.
Me too.
I'd be happy than picking shit, okay?
Yeah, and then as he's all excited that he's got, all these Spanish doubloons, the phone's ringing, his son's still playing guitar, and he's kind of like coming back to reality a little bit.
It's fucking Tom on the phone. And Tom's like, hey, how you doing there, bud? He's like, does that thing work? And he's like, oh, yeah, it works. You want to come over and see it? And he's like, I don't fucking think so. Listen, John was really smart, and I know what the fuck you're doing over there. And all I got to say is be careful, okay?
You can get fucked anyway.
Don't fucking type my name on that goddamn computer there.
Whatever I will fucking haunt the shit out of you.
What does he have, like a magic detector? How the hell does he know this thing's being used? Like, what is he talking about? I feel like tremor in the earth every time you type something into that.
John was a smart boy. I know what that fucking machine does, kiddo.
He knows what he's doing because he's an exhibitionist, so he's watching Harry Anderson through the window, okay? Just like Chris said.
Yeah, he's got binoculars out.
He's outside a big-ass fucking mobile phone.
He made that picture disappear and reappear. He's wasting wishes.
Sean, real quick. So in the beginning, when you were like, he was in love with his...
Or his brother's wife.
Like, I always have the episode on the background when we're, like, doing these. And I guess when I rewatched it before we did the episode, I didn't catch the part where he actually explicitly types out, the woman I loved. So so I didn't catch that.
Oh, yeah, straight up, man. He's, like, infatuated with her. But, like, even his wife knows that.
So I take my whole statement before, completely retract that. It's like, oh, yeah, it's a little less vague than I thought it was.
So he ends up going back downstairs. He's like, all right, thanks, Tom. He's like, all right, don't fucking put an eye out or whatever. So he goes back downstairs, and he's typing in the shit. And he's about to type in, I have ideas for 20, award-winning novels, best-selling novels, excuse me.
Yeah, he puts in 10 at first. And then he's like, why not?
Fuck it.
Let's make it 20.
I thought if he hit fucking execute on this, I thought his head was gonna explode like scanners. I was like, there's no way.
It is a weird this weird command, I guess you'd say, because why not just say like I have already made 20 successful novels? Boom.
How about I have $400 billion?
I mean, there's
Right.
obviously there's that one, but like,
Then it'll be like a Leprechaun 2 sort of thing.
Oh, it's in his belly, you think?
Yeah, his stomach just starts swelling up.
Oh God, more Spanish doubloons that he knows what to do with in there.
So right before he can execute, the fucking his disgusting son blows a fucking fuse with his guitar, and he freaks out and turns it back on.
he's like, that's it, I'm gonna murder you.
And that was the straw that broke the Davidson's back, dude. He fucking sits down and he's like,
The fuse that broke the camel's back.
yeah, he's like, my son is whatever Hagstrom. Deleted.
My disgusting pig son.
My disgusting pig of a son.
Yeah, he's got to sneak an insult in there.
So I have a perfect supervillain comparison to back up why I think this is just some heinous ass shit. So our favorite yellow speedster has done these exact same things to his like academic rivals and people he doesn't like. He runs to the past and plucks them from his life and removes them from history, period. So they were never a problem to begin with. And he just improves his own life over the course of several decades.
So this isn't quite the reverse Flash, but maybe like the slow-moving typing Flash.
So Harry Anderson is the Flash.
Yeah, well, we all know that the Reverse Flash worked at the fucking putt-putt, okay? And
True.
fucked with those... the dinosaur bit that guy's dick. It's all part of the same universe.
Remove too many people from the timeline, and you end up working at a putt-putt course facing down with little dinosaurs.
Yes, the pygmy dinosaur timeline. Yep. So Bruce Davison makes he makes his son disappear, and he's gone. And then he goes upstairs, and I love this so much. This is a big part of why I love the first Creepshow so much, is because they do these one-take shots where it's like a dream. And they do this in the Tales from the Darkside movie, too, in The Cat from Hell, where it's like a dream or like somebody's telling a story or something, and it like goes into this one scene and then kind of brings you back to reality almost. Because Bruce Davison comes upstairs and he's freaking out because he thinks his wife is going to be like, you murdered our son! Where's our son?
Oh, yeah, I love this.
Yeah, she comes in the door like it's all like, exaggerated blue lighting and you have like a Dutch angle going on.
Yeah, the camera's all tilted in. And as like, and during the take, it's like you see the lights change.
Yeah.
Which is something you don't really see too often. Like you said, Creepshow, Tales from the Darkside, the movie.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it goes from one scene to another, like, within the same scene, all practically.
Yeah, someone's just in the background, like, flipping a switch or plugging a light in.
Turning the fucking dimmer up.
I was genuinely taken aback because I didn't, obviously it's my first viewing. I didn't know this was a kind of got you moment.
Same,
And I was like, oh, shit, like, he's aware that he killed his son. It's not just, like, some kind of magic thing where, like, what actually ends up happening happens. Like, I was like, oh my God, I didn't see this coming. And then you get that switch and it's like, oh no, it never existed.
Yeah, it's like the persona. it's like his guilty conscience. You know what I mean? And we're like watching it in like this exaggerated, like comic booky type scene,
Right. Like what he's thinking probably as he's walking up the stairs from the basement.
Exactly. And she's like, his wife comes in. I mean, it's obviously his thoughts, but she's like, you killed our son. You didn't want to marry me anyway. You just didn't marry Belinda because you're a pussy.
So my other thing with what he does to like the whole deletion process and like just removing his son from his life so he never existed at all. I'm like, hold on, he would walk outside the next day to a completely different life because you can't just you can't pluck one person from existence and expect everything to be the same. So that's why this shit terrifies me, because he's just like, yeah, I'll play God for a few hours.
Well, there's a couch in his room now.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's kind of the point that they're trying to make with this, that maybe that's what he did think was going to happen, whether he thought she was going to freak or his life would be different. I don't know what he thought. Maybe he didn't even think it would do anything.
I think Connor's saying the repercussions of just removing somebody and their entire existence from...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my because my brain is always dancing around the context of this stuff and always trying to put is trying to open doors in this little pocket universe, and like I just immediately thought of like Doctor Who and shit like that and time travel stories where like if you can't just go bring someone back who was killed or kill someone who lived during that time, because you're gonna drastically alter like everything around you, because like
Sure.
yeah.
Well, his sloppy pig son isn't gonna fucking change much. I don't think.
Maybe the guy's pig son just didn't make that much of a difference to begin with.
I think that's what they're getting at.
I mean, that's very true, but also because his life is in such a small bubble, like he's just a regular ass guy. Like I feel like it would be like pretty drastic.
Right. Well, I guess that was my kind of what I was trying to get at there, is that nothing's different. It's just his wife's still an asshole. Like, she's not different in any way. Because he goes to her like, "Oh, do you ever regret not having kids?" And she's like, "No."
What would I do with a rugrat? You think she's a little bit better than she was. I mean, she's still a bitch, but, like, not so bad.
A little bit.
And then he's like, "Oh, it's my birthday today." And she's like, "Yeah? Why don't you wish for some fucking money, scumbag? Good night."
And that's when he's like, "All right, well,
Yeah, he kind of laughs to himself. He's like, "I'll get the last laugh, bitch."
That's when you would place Kill Bill sirens.
He heads right back down to that computer.
He fucking cracks a beer. He fucking heads back down. He's like, "Here we go, baby. Time to change my life for the better." So he sits down and he starts typing out. Well, first of all, the word processor starts smoking. And you're like, "Oh, shit." And he's like, "Oh, I don't have much time." So he's typing out his last request, if you will. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a man who lives alone except for my beloved wife, Belinda, and my wonderful son, Jonathan." And he keeps typing this in, and then the fucking computer, like, takes a shit. And it's like, overload. Like, the fucking, the Mookie bells start going off.
Before that, though, he does erase his wife. And that's when it starts smoking, because he thinks like his life's going to be better without her, but it's just like literally nothing changes. He's just still some schlub, alone, doesn't have anything for him. It's like actually worse than it was before. And that's when the computer really starts like light on fire and shit. And that's when he's like, "Oh, fuck, what did I do?" And he's trying to like save himself.
Now that you mention it, they don't really show what happens after his wife disappears. Like, we don't cut back to the picture, because, like, before you cut back to the picture and, like, his son's out of the picture and they have, like, a fucking Chihuahua dog or some shit. But when this happens, they never cut back.
Yeah, with his son at least, you have him, like, he's playing guitar in the other room, and then as Richard's typing in like, "Oh, my pig son's gone," whatever he types.
Death to my pig son.
As he's typing into the computer, his son's playing guitar, so you have that like dramatic, like the sound stops from the other.
Yeah,
room.
the hard stop. Yeah, when it says done.
Yeah, and I still, I'm joking here to a point, because obviously the point of this episode is what he ends up wishing for last, or typing it, however you want to look at it. But I was sitting there like, he kind of wasted a couple of those wishes, man. He could have just went with this last one and just, it would have sorted itself out, and it wouldn't have fucking lit on fire right away.
Well, he's got a nice life with 12 doubloons now.
Yeah, he's fucking made with that 24 grand.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Too bad he couldn't hit execute on those 20 novel ideas.
Wait, well, okay, so but the implication of the ending, does he even have that shit anymore because it's in a different location?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't.
So the fucking thing starts blowing up, and he's trying to fucking, his light's on fire, and he's trying to keep putting the same phrase in about, his Belinda and Jonathan and how that's his life now.
I was having flashbacks to Star Trek, like the fucking Enterprise just got hit by something.
Yeah, dude. So
we're going down, Captain.
This thing fucking goes up. He's hitting execute, and it just kind of like crossfades into Jonathan coming down the stairs. He's like, "Hey, Dad." He's like, "Dad, you almost fucking, you all right? That fucking thing just blew up. You okay there?"
Yeah, and he's looking at a portrait that's not his gross family that he used to have.
Now he's got hot wife. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's Belinda and Jonathan. Now he's happy in the photo.
Do you think his Earth 1, Earth A, whatever the fuck, wife and son, are they with the drunk brother? Or they don't exist? Or they just totally erased?
Yeah, what happened to the brother? The brother, right?
Sean, if there's a canonical ending, that's mine. I'm sorry. I think that's brilliant.
Here, you want the real downer? Fucking drunk brother gets fucking shit hammered and comes over and fucking massacres the whole family.
Oh my god. It's Terry O'Quinn?
Yeah, the stepbrother.
How wow would it be if Harry Davidson or Bruce Anderson, it crossfades into white, and he's behind the fucking wheel of the car, and he looks and there's Belinda and Jonathan with him. He's like, "Oh no!"
Harry Anderson is his drunk brother that comes over and fucking kills the family. And then he takes his mustache off and the glasses.
Wait, the brother is Richard Dean Anderson.
Yeah, there you go. That's how you wrap it all around.
But then he takes his mask off and he's Richard Mole.
But it's actually Gunnar Henson. The lore is deep on this show, for those that know.
And he would have gotten away for it too if it wasn't for that munchie.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and then the weird shot here after, he's talking to his new son, his, son 2.0.
The son he always wanted.
The weird shot here is like, now it shows the wife, Belinda. She's not in the same shot as they are. Like, she doesn't come over and, they have a big family hug.
Yeah.
It's like a cut-in.
She's in a different shot with like different lighting and just like standing there.
She looks like either a ghost or a woman who's been lobotomized.
Yeah, it definitely looks like she's aware of like what's happening. She's like, why was I brought back from the dead?
Well, they also like that, because that's where I thought it was going, and instead we get this kind of happy ending. But they also, this is kind of an interesting decision, whether it's from the director or the art department, where there's kind of this, like, for lack of a better term, like this, like, mist or fog that's kind of emanating around in this scene.
Ethereally, like, dreamlike, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this as a few different things. On the surface level, I saw this as like, oh, the shithead just wins, which I thought was actually fascinating. I'm like, that's fucked up and really interesting to think about, that he just gets what he wants despite the machine blowing up. Because it's just like it's a good gut punch. The second one was that fucking thing blew up and killed his ass. And that this is some kind of like, this is his nerves firing off or something like that.
Here's something. Like, does Belinda have those memories of dying? And Jonathan does he have them too? Because he kind of foresaw, he had that foresight of seeing his own death and like how to prevent it?
Maybe.
What if this was all like, what if, Dad is actually just like the middle wheel in this. This is kind of all Jonathan's game plan, because he's like, I don't have much time. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more.
I don't like my dad. He's a piece of shit, but I love you, Uncle Richard. Want to be my dad? Here we go.
It's not weird.
Do you think he fucking coerced his dad to drink and drive off that cliff?
I don't know. He could have wished for it, like you were saying.
Yeah, this is part of a plan.
He wrote a story about it. My dad drives off a cliff, and then I give a computer to my uncle, and he brings me back.
That grants wishes.
And he makes several weird wishes before finally blowing it up and waking up in my house as my dad.
And my mom brings us Coco, the end.
It's a monkey's paw story for the 80s.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, like, if Jonathan is aware of what happened or not, like, you think he goes to his uncle dad, like, hey, you kind of wasted some of those wishes with the picture and phasing your family out. I gave you all those extra, RAM to work with so you could ask for like invincibility and like billions of dollars, but you fucking pissed it away on making a picture, disappear and reappear.
So what do we all think of this? What's our final thoughts on this?
This is I think it's my favorite episode so far, if I'm gonna be honest. I think this is, and I didn't know this was a Stephen King story when I went into it, so it really doesn't have anything to do with it. But I think the concept is really cool, because it's one, it really feels like one of those 80s or 90s like technophobia kind of things, where it's like computers lead you to the devil or something. But also it's got that just, it is kind of monkey's paw-ish, or it's wish fulfillment gone backwards. Except it's an interesting twist to me, because the way I interpret it is like, yeah, this really sad kind of pathetic dude stumbles into I guess the most fortuitous supernatural device he could ever come across, and just selfishly improves his life over the course of an evening. I'm like, that's a real dropkick, and I kind of respect it.
Real quick, it's funny that you mentioned the monkey's paw thing, because he's in the new Creep Show series, and his episode is literally a monkey paw episode.
Oh man,
why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I like this one a lot, but the happy ending, or maybe it is a dream. Maybe he after that thing exploded, maybe he didn't die. Maybe he just is by himself and he's dreaming about what he wanted. Or maybe he did get what he wanted. I don't know, but I wasn't crazy about that. Like, I guess I get what they were going for, but that was the only thing in this episode that I didn't enjoy. So it knocks it down a little bit for me, but still a really well done episode. And Bruce is, of course, great. He's pretty much great in everything we've seen him in. Even Titanic 2, he fucking carried that movie on his back. As much as he tried, at least.
I will say, like, his low-key demeanor, while it was hilarious in Titanic because he was barely there, like, he looked like he looked like he was comatose. Like, the cold the cold demeanor he has in this episode, where he doesn't really react to the shit that he's doing or really react beforehand, really sells to me like why this is just so fucking grim, because he's just like, yeah, whatever.
Well, he has like a look, but that's about it, you know. So yeah, this was a really good one. I would definitely check this one out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I like this one. This is I think it's a solid episode. It's a strong story because it's from a Stephen King short, and in with that in mind, it does stay pretty close to the source material. Just written to a 25-minute episode. It's like, I think they do a great job with it. It kind of gets right to the point, moves along fast, and we get a nice little happy ending. Morals aside of would you, wouldn't you? I see it as he's a decent guy trying to just dealt a bad hand, and he finds a way to fix it.
I also have to imagine, I don't relate to this in any way, but I could imagine people at home that were in these kind of relationships like, oh, God, yeah, I wish I could have this guy's fucking computer. And I wonder if that struck a chord with people at home because, I don't know, this was, again, this is not our first nagging wife. We had, again, my favorite so far in that department. Please don't help me.
Sean, I think it's funny you mentioned that because I forgot, it only hit me until now, but like this is kind of evocative of The Button, which is that like I've seen it as a writing prompt, and I can't remember who wrote the original version of it, but someone brings you a button and says, hey, you press this button and someone will die, but we'll give you $1 million. Like, would you do it? Like, so, I just wanted to throw that little wrinkle in there because now this makes it double interesting because I like the moral implications of it.
Totally. This is a great one. And again, I had said on the Inside the Closet episode, this series is hitting its stride right now, right? There is a good stretch here of really solid ass stories, and it's kind of coming into its own. As far as the storytelling and getting them across in 25 minutes and being fucking bangers, right? I mean, what more can I really say? It's a Stephen King. It's based on a Stephen King story, and it's really great. I love the concept of having this machine that you can it has a finite amount of. I guess it's kind of like the genie in the lamp thing, like you guys were mentioning before, like a monkey's paw, rather, without the fucking negative repercussions per se.
Yeah, I mean, if he wishes away his wife and then, like, an entire building explodes, I guess that's more of a monkey's paw situation.
Yeah, or, like, if you wish for something, but it had, like, you get it, but it's still negative at the same time. Like,
right.
Like, if you wish for $1 million and then, like, your dad dies and,
Exactly.
Something like that.
And it has like limited, not wishes, but like a limited use sort of thing.
Right, and I also like that too, where it was built with like shitty parts. Jonathan even says that he builds it with shitty parts, and he's like, I don't know why I did that. Well, I'm glad you figured it out in enough time to have us all as a family, Dad, Uncle, whatever.
Uncle, Dad.
But yeah, I mean, it's really coming to the forefront here. This series is starting to blossom. You got Gornick directing, you got McDowell writing the teleplay, and you got Stephen King on that original story, and Bruce Davison brings the goods. Everybody's really good in this. It's acted really well, it's shot well, it looks great, and the fucking story is just so bonkers and relatable. I mean, if I had this fucking thing tomorrow, I would change a lot of things. But for a lot of people, this guy's a little selfish in terms of like.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's given godly power, and the only things he does with it are just like, well, it's all about me now.
Like I would be like, shit rules for me and all these other people. You know what I mean? Like
everyone's okay.
Yeah. Here's a good. This is a good question. It's like if you had this word processor. And it could, work the same way it does in the episode. What would you write into?
I just want everyone to be okay.
Everyone, half the population of the world disappears into dust. No.
How about Stephen King starts using cocaine again?
I would go in for that. Yeah, that would be the first one or the second one.
Maximum Overdrive 2.
$60 billion. Super speed and the ability to fly. That's what I'm going with. All three of those.
Okay. if I had to get a second one, everyone should be. I want everyone to be okay. Super speed would probably be a close second.
I don't know. I mean, I would like to hope that that's what I would do is say something nice like, cancer is not a thing anymore. Execute, but I'd make sure I get those first 3 first, and then see if it's got any juice left in it. And then I guess I'll cure cancer.
Curing cancer, it's on the agenda. All right?
But where does Stephen King and cocaine fit in the mix? What number would that be?
Well, if it's not totally on fire, I'll write that in there. Give him another good run.
That's the one that you keep typing in and hitting execute while it's on fire, right?
Yeah, that's my on fire command.
Yeah, when it's on fire, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean it's over. You have time left. It's like when the Mario time music hits. You just got to do it fast. You're gonna be fucked soon.
Stephen King Coke, Stephen King Coke, Stephen King Coke.
Stephen King today died from a diabetes. Apparently, he was addicted to Coca-Cola.
He went out and sniffed all the coke in the Tri-County area.
Chris, or it's like it's registering as Stephen King's Coke, so every time you type it, you just get his stash in the 80s over and over and over.
Oh my God, it fills up the room.
It just fills up the room.
Oops, this is not what I meant.
Whoops, all Stephen King's Coke.
Be careful what you wish for, right? Or be careful what you type in. I would honest, like if I had that fucking thing tomorrow, I'd just be like, I would type in, I just want everybody to be comfortable in their life.
That's kind of my thing. Is like I feel like if I had that much godly power, because I only feel better when I'm kind of being nicer to somebody else. It's just how I work. Especially because like for me it's a great cure for depression. It's just, and yeah, I'm feeling shitty. Hey, here's a fucking soda. Enjoy that. Like I honestly just if I could, I'd just say like I just want everyone to be good. No fucking like. Obviously, like bad shit happens, but like nothing that's completely out of your control or indifferent or sadistic or something like that.
Something where you can wake up in the morning and be like, it's gonna be fine.
Yes,
today.
yes.
That's what I'm gonna do when I wake up on my pile of $60 billion. Whoa, this feels good.
Sean, if me saying I want everyone to be okay, and in the back of your head, your version of okay is waking up on $60 billion, then more power to you, okay?
Man, you don't get the computer, you fuck. You don't get the processor. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, and like to follow up with like you guys, it's like same kind of thing. It's like you make it easier for other people because everyone's having a hard time.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think mine would just be like I want people to have more good days than bad ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think you can wipe it out with the word processor of the gods, but you can definitely make things better.
I mean, for something called Of the Gods, man, it's got like some I wouldn't say limited applications, but like if actually when I think about it, like especially if it's the Greek gods, they'd be like, haha, it's a computer with 2 buttons.
Well, you don't want to see the food of the gods. That just makes rats giant.
Allegedly.
Allegedly giant rat.
There you go.
Fucking joke that never dies.
And that goes over, giant rat. Now we're talking about Graveyard Shift.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it goes right into it.
Another Stephen King story.
Get that Coke out and cough syrup, baby. We're going to fucking Minor Town.
If I had to map this episode in the MDU, it's just a fucking singularity, okay? It's just all this shit getting sucked into it. Like,
oh, absolutely.
And we're starting to cross, a lot of lines like that just in like Tales from the Darkside, Creepshow, and Monsters. With like a lot of these connections all over the place, and it's fun seeing. It's like, oh, this person's in Monsters. Yeah, this guy directed Creepshow too.
Stephen King is in Creepshow.
Yeah, I feel like we're like, that like old school operator that plugs all those fucking things into the different jacks and shit to talk to everybody. That's what I feel like we are, but for B movies.
Yeah, connecting them all together like a web.
But yeah, there's a lot of internal relationships between all these different series, like we said, and again, like Chickadee in this episode is from Monsters too. So we are going to be covering it, and there's still plenty more Tales from the Dark Side on its way to you, and it's going to be great.
This was super fun to come back to for now. I'll try to make more, but yeah, this is we had a chance, so I took it, and this is a fucking blast. So,
well, I'm glad you fucking came on because
yes.
You were supposed to be here in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, if you like Christian Slater, you'll like the next one.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Oh, you spoiled it. We got Mr. Duncan and we got Christian Slater in the next episode. Do not Miss it. Case of the Stubborns. And we have fucking Brent Spiner in there too, Data himself.
Oh my god.
Yeah, shit's about to get weird.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's the word processor of the gods. But until next time, I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Connor McGraw.
And I'm Chris Bahr.
Later!
The dark side is always there, waiting for us to enter us. Until next time, try to enjoy the daylight.